We are going to talk about something delicate now. I'm always reminded that we do have little ears listening as well, so just to make you aware of that. There's been a petition set up by a Cheltenham mum to give parents or guardians a right to access the social media accounts of their children. It's going to be discussed in Parliament in January after it collected more than 125,000 signatures. Now, Ellen Room's 14-year-old son, Jules, died in unclear circumstances in 2022, and she believes he may have taken part in an online challenge that went wrong, and his social media posts could provide answers. And Ellen joins me in the studio now. So have you been denied access then to look for those answers, Ellen?
Yes, as a parent you have no right to see your children's data, and I never realised that. So I think from the beginning I tried to apply for his data. We had some data. They won't release his browsing history and they won't release his messages. I actually met with all the social media companies this week in Parliament on Wednesday, and Meta told me that it's down to GDPR and protection of that child. And my response was, my child is no longer here. I should be able to see his data.
So that must leave you with so many questions that are just whirling around as to what he was doing, who he was talking to, who was contacting him, what those circumstances were. And the fact that you've got so many signatures, does that indicate that you've met others in this situation as well? Yeah,
I'm party to a group, the Bereaved Families for Online Safety group, and it was formed by Ian Russell, who lost his daughter Molly, who was also 14. Many people have seen the Swiped programme this week. Lisa Canavan is on that programme with Emma Willis, and she's party to our group. Her son Isaac lost his life in exactly the same way. And there's a lot of us that all want our data. And we're saying, why? They're our children, they're minors, they've signed up to terms and conditions, and they're no longer here. And we have no rights as parents to see that data.
And how does that leave you feeling?
It's really hard. It's really hard to lose your child and not understand why. I mean, it's hard to lose a child anyway. I'm not taking that away from anybody that's lost a child in any other circumstances. But I just don't understand why. The police didn't find there was anything offline. He wasn't bullied, didn't have any mental health issues that anybody was aware of. And so as a parent, I'm left trying to understand why my child is no longer alive. And that's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Awful to even go through that. I think that a lot of people listening aren't even going to, comprehend, understand how that feels. So have the police and the authorities, have they seen the history? Have they seen it?
Well, no, because the forensics in police, Gloucestershire Police, was down at the time of Jules's death. So the detective, I remember her saying to us, I'm having to look through it manually. I'm not really sure how I'm using TikTok. And it was blind leading the blind. And as parents, we were very much just barely breathing. People were putting food in front of our face and saying, trying to eat something. You're not functioning when you've lost a child. The last thing you think of is, I need to find answers. You're just not coping. And so after we got to the inquest, and in Jules's police report, there's a half a page document on Jules's social media. Snapchat says logged out. Well, I know his passwords, so I'm not really sure why it says that. But it's only half a page. It doesn't mention his other accounts, which I've since found. And so I've paid for a private forensics company to scrape anything they can off the devices. And that's currently with my lawyers. But unfortunately, it's been through almost 4 months with my lawyers, and I haven't had any data yet.
Right. So this just goes on and on. The questions build up, and the frustration grows daily, I would imagine.
Well, I think as a parent, you go through every single possible scenario in your head. I went through, was there somebody in the house, which the police ruled out because there would have been a sign of a struggle or marks on Jules. So they ruled that out. But as a parent, you can't help but go through everything. What did I miss? Was he sad? Did he, there were a couple of days he didn't want to go to school. And I said, you're going to school, Jules, come on. But nothing that I thought was a problem. I remember not wanting to go to school when I was a child. So I didn't once look at Jules and think, there's something massive going on. I just didn't.
Yeah. You thought that it was normal teenage behaviour.
I mean, most of us and most of my friends have didn't want to go to school, or we managed to avoid school in some way, and we called it bunking off. I don't know what kids call it now, but I just thought he was being normal. It wasn't a problem, and school didn't think there was a problem. So none of us know.
Right. Okay. And I guess with social media as well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes the accounts are obvious, the ones that you can see. But, my daughters have got varying different accounts, so you've got the one Instagram account that I can look at that she posts things on. But then there are others in the background. You don't know how many more there are.
Well, I didn't realise that, actually. The police only found the one that was... I can't even remember what it was, Jules.Sweeney or something obvious. And I've got 2 other accounts. They didn't even see this. And I initially panicked, and I spoke to my other friends, parents' friends, and said, why on earth has he got other accounts? What's he hiding? And they went, all the kids do that these days. And I just found that, I was like, why do they bother with that? But as you said, it's one that you can see and one that others can't see.
That's it. And I only found this out by talking, there was a conversation going on between my daughter and my son's girlfriend, and she was saying, well, I saw this on your social media, you must have had a great time. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't see that. But then she's 20, so she can do what she wants with those accounts now. But there's so much that you can access, isn't there, on social media? And we know how those algorithms work, and that if you start researching something or looking into something, then people keep getting in touch with you. And I guess those are all the questions that you want the answers to as well.
I do. And I want to know, was somebody messaging? You hear about all these things that happen with sextortion, which I had to Google after Jules died. I didn't even know what it was. And, that could be a possibility, but they won't show me any messages. So was somebody interacting with him? I know, I now know, having campaigned, it's only been 7 months, but I seem to have done quite a lot in 7 months. But I've met, all these other parents that we share a lot of things between us about what we found. The harmful and illegal content on social media is horrific. And if I knew now I can never get that right. If I'd known then what I know now, that's what I'm trying to say, is that I would be very concerned about what your teenagers are watching. Yeah. And it's really good on Monday Ofcom are releasing their codes for the illegal harms. It still won't be enforced. I can't remember if it's March or April, so there will be no enforcement until that time. I'm actually due to meet Ofcom on Monday. I'm being interviewed with them. So it'll be interesting to see what they say, but on the crux of it, it doesn't sound like actually there's a huge amount being done yet. And that's really frustrating. As a group of bereaved parents, we're sitting here saying, come, somebody make a change. And we are crying out, and it's making me emotional, but I've got thousands and thousands of parents supporting me, saying, come on, make a difference, make a change. And I just think Ofcom, come on, they're the ones that can do this. And they need to start enforcing it and step up and do something.
I've got to ask you honestly, realistically, do you think that this change is going to happen? Do you think that you will at any point soon be able to look at that history?
No, I don't. So I managed to get my signatures because of the petition closing. We managed to get 126,000. It was ridiculous. It was in about 10 days, so it was great. There was so much support. It will be debated in Parliament on the 13th of January. I do understand that there's 2 arms to this. So there's one arm that, what if children are alive? Should parents see that? There could be parents that are perpetrators. I understand that's more of a difficult situation. With regards to the likes of me, and I could name many parents in our group that are all saying, please give us our data. I don't understand why we can't have that. They're no longer here. Who are we protecting other than the social media company? And actually at the meeting we had with them in Parliament on Wednesday, one of the MPs said, just give them the data. Just give them the data. And they said, well, we can't, we'd be fined. And they said, pay the fine and give the parents the data. If they wanted to, they could, and they could probably, I don't know what the fine would be, but for them, they're billions of pounds worth of company. They could just pay that fine and give us our data. They're not going to, and even if it went through law, it'd be years before that happened. It would be wonderful if it went into the data bill that's being going through court now, that part of that would give children or parents the right to do it. And the other part is why is it the children's data? Why have we got children signing up? So there's a lady, you've probably heard of Archie Battersby. He died. Well, he had this, or did the same thing as Jules 6 days before Jules. He didn't die until I think it was the August, because he was kept alive on the ventilator. And he was 12, so he wasn't even of legal age to sign these things. They won't release that data to Holly, and so I just think they're a law unto themselves. It makes me really angry.
You've thrown yourself into this. I can see that looking at you, and you say, you've been working, you've been on a mission to get this overturned so that you can look at that data. Where have you found time to grieve? Where have you found time to actually, I'm not going to say come to terms with it. I don't think any parent would ever come to terms with that. But when have you had time for you?
I don't think I have yet. I think, and as a group of parents, we've often all said this. It's almost like, and my voice might wobble, that's okay, but it's almost like you have to put it aside and you have to, we're fighting in memory of our children. And I have been posting a bit on social media, but I'm not always strong. I come across sometimes very hard, very strong. You don't see me when I'm curled up in a ball on the floor thinking, where the hell is my child? And I want to get that across because the grief of losing a child is horrific. And you go through every milestone, every birthday, he should have been driving in July, and you see all his friends driving, and you go through all these stages. It's really hard. And I mean, for me, I'm talking for everybody. For me, I block it out a lot. I block it out. And then I go through cycles, and I eventually, a couple of weekends ago, I couldn't even get out of bed. I got up, I had a shower, I got back into bed. I couldn't be bothered to eat. I couldn't be bothered to do anything. And you go through, somebody said to me, it's like a tsunami. It completely knocks you off your feet. And you pick yourself up and you go, right, I'm back up, I'm fighting again. And I am a fighter, and I'm not stopping, and I will make a difference.
I have no doubt. I can see it in your eyes that you're a force to be reckoned with on this, and I do really hope that you get the answers that you need, whatever they tell you. It seems you need to read that, you need to see that.
But I'm fighting for every single parent out there, because I don't want anybody else to be in this position, and I know far too many parents that have lost their children and are in this position. And I'm also fighting because social media needs to change, because I am furious about how many children are self-harming and dying. And when is this going to stop? This needs to change now.
And if there are parents that, listening to this, it's not an easy listen. And sometimes you need to hear things like this to wake up and see what is going on as well, and to make you more aware of what the harm this social media can do. If they want any more details and if they want to learn more from you about the story and your fight and what you're doing, where can they find that, Ellen?
I have a website called Jules Law, so it's spelled JOOLSLAW.co.uk. So I've been blogging on there. But one thing I would say is, parents, please talk to your children about online challenges, and don't worry about saying the wrong thing. I would prefer that you talk to your children. There's various sites. Internet Matters talks about being aware of online challenges. There's a very good charity called Papyrus. They will help parents and children. It's the prevention of young suicide. And I would actually like to add that talking about suicide doesn't cause suicide. And I did a podcast this week with Jed Flynn, the CEO of Papyrus, which will go live shortly, and I'll share that on my website. But start talking to your children and start having some really frank conversations, because if you don't, they're going to see stuff online and not understand how to process it.
John, it's a strong message that you've sent, and thank you for coming in and talking to us, and just keep us updated. Come back and keep us aware of what's going on. Okay, thank you very much. That's Ellen Room there talking to us. Not an easy listen, but sometimes we need to hear these things, and we hope that you get the result that you want there. It is your Saturday morning breakfast show.